This conference will now be recorded.
Jackie, you can still hear us, correct? She could have. Minus 1 minute.
How was your trip, Bob?
8 o'clock.
Sherry had a good time. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sweet oil there.
Me too.
All righty. First order of business is to approve the agenda. Bruce, is there any changes?
Mr. Chairman, you should have an amended agenda in front of you. You would know it's the amended agenda under general business. I've added the DOT weed spraying agreement and have it underlined. I would make a couple of notes that at 9:15, when Dwight Gabrud is here, you may, after his presentation, want to go into executive session pursuant to 125-2 subsection 3, consulting with legal counsel, etc. Another note is that Brenda will be discussing with you under general business the resolution regarding county recognized holidays. In conjunction with that, the governor has declared Good Friday and the following Monday to be state holidays. So for your consideration will be whether or not you want to give those holidays to county employees as well. With that, I know over to you.
Move to approve with the revision. Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the agenda. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Do you have any conflicts, Randy? No. Okay. Bob. Has everyone had an opportunity to look the minutes over? We're at that point of the game here for approval of our minutes.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second, best minutes in the county.
All righty. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Yes, Brenda, they are fantastic.
Thank you all.
You get those done a little quicker. I was all the way home before they showed up.
We had a meeting, that's why.
Okay. We're on to bills. I have my answer.
Richard noted earlier that the bill for $29,000 and change from 9 and for the LiDAR has been included subject to reimbursement.
Go ahead.
Insurance and bonds. Remind me what that is again. I know it's annual. 70,000.
Yeah, that's for your liability insurance for your property and et cetera.
Is that annual or biannual?
Annual. Yep. And that's about what it has been the last couple of years. I was expecting a bigger increase, but it's actually slightly less.
If I may, Mr. Chairman. On page 5, I see Greg is here. 230832 Center for Internet Security, 10,680.
Yeah, that is for our intrusion protection system.
Is that an annual or is that
Annual?
Okay, thank you. And then I had several for the highway department.
This 17 is for snowplow. I looked that up this morning.
Is that budgeted?
Yeah.
How about the Department of Transportation 0918 to 23,000, which goes out for which bridge is that?
So that's like, it says for private supplies. So invoice St. Ange Road over Falls Bottom.
Okay, that's the final payment on that one.
The sale overlay project.
to the DOT.
Oh, maybe not.
That's gotta be the bridge.
Then there's the Elmore Road over Spearfish Creek. There's reimbursement for that, looks like.
Okay.
And also Redwater, bridge over Redwater, I suppose.
I'll probably find one. Did Butte County pay us on that?
I don't know that they've been billed, but I can check.
Okay, thank you.
The Whitewood Service Road.
I'm gonna have one last one under weed on page 10. Triple H Performance. That must be quite an weed eater for $6,847.
What was the number, please?
0974.
Well, yeah, no, so I think it's for the, looks like overhaul of their 1999 Dodge. They replaced the manual transmission, the transaxle, and some other associated goodies, it looks like.
Thank you. I need to approve the bills.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the bills. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Travel requests,
I'm not sure.
personnel.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the step raises for Taylor Benson, Sarah DeGroyer, Robert Goody, Jolene Wetz, Brandon Rosenaw, Marina Cleveland, Crystal Chaffins, Galena Bond, and Sarah Bailey. As presented.
Yep.
It's all separate.
I'm sorry.
I think I had some questions.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion.
Oh, you touched it.
Right.
As we crash.
No, we're good, we're good, we're
What's
good.
got to do?
Just
Yeah.
gets
no,
that close and it's like the whole world falls apart. Poor guy.
Find it? Commissioner Sleep?
Yeah, I was wondering about Sarah Bailey. She step raises. She, I was thinking she was in
I think Deb tried to listen if you had any questions about Sarah.
the.
What's your question, Richard?
Well, I was, this is on the sheriff's office. I was just wondering about how long she raised her to step 3. I just wondered how long she's been working. I didn't.
Sir.
If you're over there talking. Is that right, Richard? Yeah.
So long as been here. I hired her in. She hired in 6/21.
6/21. Thank you. You just have to start. So we still got to talk about. Yeah, the new hires. The new hires. Yeah, right. That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the step raises. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And I have a new hire for Jessica Johnson, Deputy 2, Grade 3, base pay at $29.98, full-time permanent employee effective March 27th.
Move to approve as presented. Yeah, there's no.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and then I have Robert Goloski, coming in as a correction officer 1, grade 2, base pay at $21.66, full-time permanent employee, effective 3/14 of 2023.
That's one that I had a new hire, second step raise. Was wondering, reason for there.
He had an amount of experience, not an awful lot, but a little bit as a Deadwood police officer. Thank you.
Move to approve as presented.
Motion, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Follow up.
Go ahead,
Mr. Chairman. Is there a way, Brenda, that on the, not the new hire, but all of the other ones that we could have the data hire after their name up there? Then we would know when they were hired. That would give us a quick reference.
Yeah.
So I just more service improvement fund or something. And I'll email them too. I'll email.
Okay. Auditor's account with treasurer.
Did you want to talk about the Easter holiday now or wait? Good. The
That's
resolution-
further down the road,
Okay,
right?
Yeah, it is.
okay, that's fine. I just wanna. Let's see. Let me get organized here. All right. Sorry. As of February 28th, 2023, total amount of deposits in the banks is $69,932,328.37. Total amount, in that total is included the CDs of $5 million at Collier, bank balance of $25,858,409.54. U.S. bank balance is $37,383,686.89. Money market, $1,690,281.94. Total amount of actual cash is $1,350. Total amount of checks and drafts in treasurer's possession is $316,348.21. Cash in treasurer's possession is $6,090.17. Petty cash, $1,860, for a total of $70,257,976.75.
Move we approve the auditor's account with treasurer.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Further discussion? Randy?
So the US bank balance, 37,383,000, is that our
Construction fund, that is correct. Yep.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Brenda, resolution 2023-10.
Um,
Is that the county recognized holiday?
This particular resolution is, last year we discussed Juneteenth, and it was, I went back into the minutes and it was asked to be addressed at the first meeting in January, so it's March 14th, so we're close. But anyway, this is the Juneteenth holiday that was declared recognized by the federal, and then the state of South Dakota also passed the resolution,
State law.
state law, that the 19th day of June would be in effect for the state. And so I was just bringing the resolution to see if it is something that the county is interested in adding it to our list of recognized holidays in the personnel manual.
June 19th.
Commissioner Sleep.
Yeah, I see that it's going to be a paid holiday for time and a half, double time pay. And we've been hiring extra people for different offices who need them. I personally don't think we need an extra holiday.
Commissioner Diver.
Well, I would like to see it more of a floater, especially if we're going to have Good Friday and the Monday after Easter. If you have the Monday after Easter, then not have this one or something like that. I mean, just because the governor does it, doesn't mean we have to. So either we have this one or we don't have the Monday after Easter.
Well, I would personally support, fall in line with what you're saying, the Friday and the Monday around Easter. I would support that rather than Juneteenth or whatever you call it. My opinion. Right.
Well, now, just on the contrary, though, weather's a lot better usually in June. 3-day week.
It is a
But
Monday.
I don't like doing both. Does it always fall on a Monday? It
No.
won't.
No,
This year it does.
yeah.
Next 4 or 5 years it will. And then it'll fall on the weekend and then you'll get either the Friday or the Monday.
Commissioner Jennings, what are your thoughts?
It seems like we're getting an awful lot of holidays. So there's 13 now. I couldn't find the sheet.
There's 13 if you add
If-
that.
Including that. So, yeah, I would agree with Commissioner Dybert there that we can't do 3 more additional holidays. We need to pick at most one of those. I would like to, to me, I would like to see us stay at 12 recognized holidays.
Which one?
12 total.
All right, in those 12, is that Friday and Monday on Easter?
No, that would not include Juneteenth either. I don't think Easter is not in there
Yeah,
either.
no, but as of right now, Good Friday and Easter Monday are not included in our
Neither
list
one?
of holidays. No. It's just, we have it in the manual that if the governor or the president declares it, we may.
Used to be we had to.
It was shall, and we got them automatically. We changed it back in 2020 when we redid the personnel manual to give us the discretion to say yes or no, whether or not we have those.
Commissioner Dybert?
Or maybe what we should do is go to department heads and see what they would rather have, an extra day at Easter or Juneteenth, and have them weigh in on it, and maybe do one of them. Come
Okay.
back to us next meeting,
I would be in favor of that.
see which they prefer, unless you know already, Brenda.
I don't, I mean, we have a couple of department heads here. Let's see what
It's
they
three.
say. 3, yeah, 4, yeah.
5.
5, 6.
6.
Almost everybody.
The only problem you have, like for the state's attorney and the public defender, is all 3 days, courts, I mean, they're closed. My office, we have no support from the state and neither for the registered deeds. I've been here the longest at the county. I know we've always had on Good Friday, at least a half a day off for Good Friday because you have a lot of people traveling. So, I mean, at least half a day Friday, at least for a lot of places, because you have a lot of people asking for at least Good Friday off to go somewhere for, because Easter is a holiday. I mean, I know a lot of people, at least half a day Friday is kind of what a lot of people do. The June thing, me personally,
Maybe what
I
Maybe
agree
what
we're
we
getting
do
too
is
many holidays.
propose, maybe what we do, Mr. Chairman, is propose half a day on Good Friday and Easter Monday off. See what the departments say about that rather than
I
Juneteenth.
would support that.
You know, and so on this resolution, maybe we would just have a floater in there and then we can be discretionary about it each year.
And we have, it is in there that you may, so I mean, you could do that at the
Without this
beginning of it.
resolution.
Yeah.
So we could do that in
Do
January.
you
could
need a
just say-
motion on the Juneteenth thing today?
Well, if you're not gonna do the resolution, we don't do it, you know. You know, the thing of it is the state is already closed. So you run into the situation where they're closed and, you know, if something happens down in Pier, I mean, although Deb just said that she doesn't think we should, which is fine, I don't, you know, but I'm just saying that if something happens down in
It would
Pier,
probably affect
and they're shut down.
Shuts
You know,
down
so-
us, shuts down DeVita, and
like I said,
it's a catch-22.
Well, yeah, there's no sense having employees here if you can't do anything.
right. You know, and you know, that's my personal mine. You know, it doesn't include anybody else's. It's just that, you know, I'm not affected by it. So
Mr. Chairman, I would move that this year we grant the afternoon of Good Friday as a half-day holiday and the Monday after Easter as a holiday.
And not have the Juneteenth yet. Is that in your motion?
Yes, I can have that motion, add that to my motion.
and not accept the resolution.
I'll second that. Is there further discussion?
I do like that ability to have discretion on it.
The other thing we need to think about too is the people that, the public that do get the holiday off, that then can conduct their business at the courthouse.
That's why I like to be one of them.
Okay,
So just so
Further
I know,
discussion?
so half a day, April 7th, full day on April 10th, and not accept the resolution for Juneteenth at this time. Okay. Thank you.
all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, raffles.
We'll do this one. Mr. Chairman, if I may, included in your packet is a raffle request that's submitted by Mr. Magruder, Sergeant of Arms of American Legion Post 31. It's self-explanatory. Their group, American Legion Post is having a raffle to benefit their organization.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move not to object.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second not to object. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. DOT weed spraying agreement. My understanding is there's no changes in it, so
That's my understanding as well, Mr. Chairman.
here for your approval.
I'll nominate for the agreement.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Spearfish Rest Area Welcome Center Corridor Study meeting on April 6th. Bruce, you wanna?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we got an email the other day, and Santec Consulting is looking to discuss with you, I think, the 3 alternatives that they've developed for the rest area welcome center project to include exit 10, exit 17, and I suppose what exit 2. And so to that end, I think on Thursday, April 6th in Spearfish, they're looking to have follow-up stakeholder meetings. I think each meeting is about 45 minutes. We start at 8 o'clock and apparently go to 4. They're looking for a couple of you to go, I suppose, and we would coordinate a time.
I will go.
I'd be glad to attend.
I was unhappy to see that 10's still in the mix.
So do you schedule these, Bruce? Because we also had a doodle poll.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have to go on after the meeting and try to get some times with Richard and Bob or whoever selected to go and yeah, exactly.
Can we have more than 2?
You can, then we'll have to do a notice of quorum.
Which
That
is
should be an
fine.
open meeting.
Well, it's not necessarily, well, yeah, I suppose. It's a quorum there. You're letting people know that 3 of you are gonna be there.
Well, I think we should have it that way, so as many as we can come.
Yeah, yeah.
Want to come, because I think they didn't listen the first time.
So,
We all were there the first time.
yeah,
I'd prefer we do it
I
that
would
way.
highly support that.
I was available that day too.
You just let us know what time.
When you make your motion, if you approve it, maybe we'll just have a quick discussion about timing, and so I can,
Do you need a motion to that effect?
I think so.
And I would like it in the morning, as early as possible.
I would make a motion that we attend a scheduled meeting on the morning of the 6th, and that we produce a notice of quorum for the Spearfish Rest Area Welcome Center corridor study.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes.
To that point, so it looks like they start at 8 o'clock. Should I indicate that your availability starts at 8, so at 8, 9, and 10, or just in the morning sometime?
We'd like 8.
Well, that's fine in zoning, so earlier the better.
Yeah, it is. It's Thursday. So I will try to get it in the morning, and then I'll let you know. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, because we wouldn't have a commissioner for planning and zoning then if it's gotta be in the morning.
I'll try to do it here during a break and see if I
Preferably early.
can't get a time for you before.
Okay, Sheriff, I believe we're up to your slot, sir.
Good morning. The Public Safety and Services Center continues to move forward. Today, probably about midday or mid-morning rather, the building will start growing out of the ground.
Oh.
They hope to start laying blocks in that area around the magistrate court. So I'll probably be up there for that. I also want to advise the board, for context, I would remind everybody that you had appointed myself and Dr. Alka as the owner's rep. And we had a number of conversations in the course of meetings with respect towards our need to make decisions on the board's behalf, specifically in regards to soft costs. We have not acted upon that as of yet, but we are now within about 30 days of having to start ordering some equipment. Some of that equipment is expensive, and in light of transparency, we're certainly open and willing to talk about anything that the board wants to talk about. However, as a reminder, some of these things are kind of time sensitive, which is the case with some of our purchases coming up. So we are on the precipice of about a $200,000 purchase. Specifically, that's for a scanner that is an important part of the jail security moving forward. Just so everybody's aware of where we're at. In terms of those items that have a technological base, some of those things take a year or longer to get, and that's what brings us to where we're at today.
So will that be a change order then?
No, sir. It's all part of the plan. Our soft costs have long been established. Yeah, in this particular item, one of the needs to proceed about a month or two before we had originally planned it is because the cost is going up. It's already gone up, and we don't want it to go up anymore before we
Mr. David?
We pay on delivery?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I have.
I had some questions.
That's it?
Yes.
No issues, no problems?
No problems.
Wow.
I had some questions. If I look through the submittal record, there's some fairly old responses needed from design team, resubmitted from contractor. Some of them are last year. Are any of these holding anything up?
No, I don't think so. No. We discuss them every other week, and I'm comfortable with where we're at.
Any further questions for the sheriff before we get you moving? Seeing none? All right, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Bay? Well, we'll take a 5-minute break while you assemble yourself, John.
Very good.
I'm gonna try to get stuck at this time schedule. Good. What'd you bring your bodyguard with you for?
Somebody's got to keep me in line.
Let's see. Understand? That's what I'm asking.
I don't know.
You just want to sit, listen? Or?
No, Paul told me to stay.
Well,
It's nice to see you.
since when do you listen to him?
All right. I don't. I didn't tell him. I'll let him.
I don't know if it brings it up. I emailed him. I don't know if she did. Good. Thanks. The bid, is the bid?
Yeah, that was the Beagle County
Oh,
bid.
yeah, no.
She came back in January.
Give that to her.
I don't know if she made copies or not. So,
Next year.
Just grab one.
Pull one out.
Grab it.
Pull one out.
We're not real fancy here. You do what you want.
Since I've never been in.
Are you serious?
Yes, it is.
Oh, well.
I don't have any issues with this game. No complaining.
Yeah, we're pretty easy going through.
right. I was gonna record the bids, so like I used to do for Alan, so try to.
They're an overwhelming number.
I don't know what we got so far, so. I got the True North bid, earlier. There's a copy of the True North. I don't know if you made that.
Are we gonna have to kick in opt-out this year,
No.
next year?
I would like.
You want to cut our budget $1 million and do it?
We'll see. What are you gonna do first, John?
I think we have to
chloride is on this list first, but I don't
So
know.
your bids are first.
Yeah. Let's go like you have it assembled.
Okay, so this is the True North one, which
You made a copy, did you?
I did.
Okay, I didn't know if you made a copy, so
It's time.
So
if you don't need that, I take that back.
I still have to see it.
That's what I
For
heard.
vacation. No, that's not long.
Your wife called it a vacation.
I've got one coming. That's here,
this is just like a lot of stuff.
On vacation.
So you need mag first, so there's that. And
Is it just the one May?
I believe so. There we go. And put these in order here. Oh, there's some more.
We've only had one made one.
Simon did that, so that's good. So you can do that. Gravel. Where's the gravel? That's how we have PIC sand. Okay, and the pile and turn it in. Hot mix. So this one. Yes. And then there's gravel.
At the end of his time.
This is in place hot mix.
About something.
Oh.
I don't think there's these two.
And before you leave today, I need to visit with you
This
about an
one.
issue
Well, you could put the in place on next.
that's been going on here
Does this one go with that one?
outside of the city.
This one. Asphalt.
Mhm.
And this is this one. And then this is
What's
the
happening
free
there?
cash. That should be the only one for that one as well.
He's missed, he's only been here.
Oh, this is the hot
Why did we have?
paper placing, but this,
This is cold mix. This
It-
is in
it
place.
helps.
this
This
is,
way it-
this was,
would
these
have
two,
been-
right?
Because he had scheduled being gone this one.
I have them all in order.
He had scheduled being gone this
So
one.
he's scheduled being on the last one, but now
Really cool idea. that
We were-
He had family.
we were told that he'd be here.
Well,
I know.
I talked to him the other day, he said he would be here. He had
I'll
family.
wait till.
When's he gonna
Okay.
come back?
I don't know, but he had, all his family, her family or something.
Are we ready? Gonna wait for Bruce?
Yes, because I have something I need to.
But I've been here.
Yeah.
Give the letter over
Yeah.
He ran upstairs to do that time for that.
We should put a tracker.
I know where he's at. I know exactly where he's at.
Caller.
It'd make you dizzy. It'd make you dizzy trying to follow it.
You guys have no
We can hear him yelp.
idea. No.
I like that.
Well, why don't we,
I think we need to do that in our manual.
what would this patient be? Is that gravel?
That's Hall's
Is
gravel.
it gravel?
It would
So,
be gravel.
so that will be later on. So before we get to the gravel aggregate, I need legal counsel to talk about a bid we received.
Did we not get it in time?
It doesn't have marked on it what it is, so we opened it, so.
Oh.
So, and it specifically says in the document that it has to have what it is on the outside. So
That's
we
for the
need-
gravel one.
So we could probably get started with the mag.
Come
Okay.
in your court, buddy.
Well, let's open these bids here for a minute.
So this is the time and place for the bid opening for Mag.
Correct. I assume this is from Dustbusters?
Yes.
Opening?
This is from Dustbusters.
Imagine that. John, would you introduce your partner here? I'm not sure.
Oh, it's Corey Sheeler. He's the, our spearfish foreman. He's gonna do what I used to do for Alan. He's gonna write all these numbers down as we roll through them.
Well, I know I've met him before, but I wasn't sure.
He runs that spearfish.
I'm Corey.
He took over for me when I got back to it. He's been there for a while. He's been with the county for a while too.
That's a good job.
Dustbusters, we got a bid bond. It does have a bid bond. Read
figure as follows here. The bid price per ton is $216.45. The bid price per gallon is $1.17. The bid price per ton applied is $20, application only, does not include material. The bid price to rent a truck for 45 days is $8,000. And being the only bid for chloride, so I recommend that we accept that bid. As compared to our last year's pricing, it's up a little bit,
$20 a ton.
$11 a gallon. So
I'll move.
Wow.
Follow the
11 cents
superintendent's
an hour.
recommendation.
11 cents a
Pardon?
gallon.
I'll move we follow the superintendent's recommendation.
I'll second it. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Let me just make sure that all of those. We have them all. So this is hot mix.
Hot mix. Is that where we're at next? Hot mix?
You don't know what extra I said.
Well, I'm getting better.
Brenda, we'll have a talk.
I did say excuse me first
Just before you hit him out.
before I hit him.
You guys get along.
Gary, we can put you in timeout.
I thought it was Brenda. We need her. There he is. You missed our motion, Bruce. We're gonna put a shock collar on you so we can shock you and you yelp and know where you're at.
Okay.
That sounds fair.
This is for hot mix. This is from Sackerson Paving, Class E Type 1, bid per ton $75. Class E Type 2, bid is $75 per ton.
What was that first one? B?
Class E Type 1,
And type 2 both.
they're both, yeah.
Same price.
They're both the same price.
And that's purchased on site or delivered?
That's on site. That is at their, yeah, that is at their plant.
Still set up there where they've always been.
Yes.
Agreed.
And this one is also hot mix.
Who's this?
This is from Johnner.
Okay.
Hot mix from Johnner. Class E Type 1, $95 per ton. Class E Type 2, also $95 a ton. And their plant is in Spearfish.
Industrial park. Right?
That's correct. This is Simon. Class E Type 1, $77 per ton. Class E Type 2, $80 a ton. And this is in the Rapid City plant. This is, they moved their plant from Centennial, and this is out of Rapid City.
So we'd be hauling from there.
Yes. I would recommend that we accept all of these bids for the location that we would be working. If we're in Nemo and we need some hot mix, it'd be beneficial for us to get it from Rapid. So
Is that the only three you have?
those are the only three that I have for hot mix.
I would move that we follow the recommendation of the highway superintendent and accept all bids with discretion on purchase by location.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. The two right there in Sturkey, there's a big difference in price. And they're pretty much, same, they're not that far apart.
Essentially the same location. So is there a time that you'd use Donner? I think that's the right. At $20 a ton.
The only time I guess we would use them is if Sackerson is not able to produce for us.
Oh.
We have had issues in the past where we've had to call them and they're not making. Same with when Simon was at Centennial. If we needed some, and we don't get a lot of hot mix, it's just usually when we do patching, and we'll call them up and they're not. One place is making and one place isn't, so we go to the other.
Yes,
That would be the only reason I could see us having to go to the higher price one is if Sackerson wasn't making, which usually they are. They're usually the ones that are producing. There's been times when they weren't open.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, this is hot mix in place patching.
I don't have a sheet for that.
Where did it?
My next one's cold.
Cold ones.
Oh,
Next one.
Which one?
I already ordered this.
Okay, so hot mix,
Sorry.
hot mix in place,
In place, hot mix in place.
patch.
Yes. This is if we were to hire somebody, which in the past we have hired people to do some work when we want larger stretches done. Just pick another sheet.
It's on the last page.
It's on the last.
One of these.
I got out a line.
Geez, John.
Well, dang
Who's your bidder?
it. This one is Sackerson.
Okay.
$151.25 for Class E Type 1. And the same for Class E Type 2, $151.25 in place.
You said Sackerson, correct?
Sackerson. And we have a second bid for in place. And this is Johners. And this is a Class E Type 1. It's $200 per ton in place. Class E Type 2 is also $200 per ton in place. And again, I'd like to keep our options open, and I'd recommend to accept both of these for the same reason again.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Diver.
So do they test these at the plant? See how
Yeah.
you're getting the quality you need?
I don't know about Johners. They're new to this game, They're new to the asphalt deal. They just opened that plant, so I don't have any history at all there with them.
So if we do accept both of them, you would make sure they have the same
Yeah.
quality and testing as your.
Absolutely, and I got to tell you, I'm going to take the lowest one at the time of purchase. We're not going to just go buy from one because, all right? I mean, I just want to keep the options open. I would hate to be saddled to one. We don't do a lot of in-place patching. It's very rare. I think in the past, it's been a few years, we had Sackerson do quite a little bit for us on the Hannah Road. They were doing, I think we were doing up to $50,000, whatever they could do for under 50 on the bid amount. So that's the only time that I can remember we've done this in-place patch.
That could be a timing issue too. It's
For sure.
late in the year.
Well, they've turned us down the last 2 years. They haven't been able to do it.
Simon or Sackerson.
Yes, they have not been able to do it the last 2 years. So again, I'd like to keep my options open on this being able to purchase from either place.
Yeah, I don't know why I have some animosity with this, but I mean, you got two in the same community, and the bid process is to accept the lowest, most responsible bid. And I understand your explanation on this as far as who would be available to do it. I guess I'll just have to get over it.
Well, that's up to you.
Commissioner Diver.
Well, since Johnner's new, that's probably why they're
Yeah.
higher. As they get running more smoothly, you might see a difference.
Did you have the bid for last year on
For the in place,
150.
150 for both of them
Yeah.
from Sackerson. And then Simon bid last year too. They didn't bid this year for in place because they're not here.
They didn't bid in 2022.
No.
Oh, sorry. So we just had the one. But I'm willing to go whatever you guys want to do. We're gonna take the lowest amount at the time. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
we'll always do
I'm
that.
sure you will. I just,
So, I mean, if you guys want to go lower, that's up to you. I want to keep, from my point of view, I just would like to have the option if we need to get the work done without trying to declare emergencies or anything like that.
well, I can't make a motion.
I'll move to accept the road superintendent's recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept both bids for a recommendation of our road superintendent. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. You're opposing?
Okay, now are we on the cold mix? Are we back in
Yeah,
order?
asphalt cold mix is your next document.
We have just the one bidder, and that is Simon for asphalt cold mix, and that is $120 per ton, and this is in Rapid City. So it's our only bid. I recommend we accept that bid.
Recommend we accept bid as per the road superintendent's recommendation.
I'll second it. Further discussion?
When do we have any more bid bidders?
To be honest with you, hardly nobody uses cold mix anymore.
Do you rely on this when you have to patch in the winter?
Not so much.
What do you do if you don't have it?
We use, depending on the circumstances, we'll either use road-based gravel or we use for the majority of our potholes, we'll use we have a bag mix that we buy it by the pallet. It's called Permapatch. It's a cold mix product that comes in 40-pound bags. The problem with cold mix in the wintertime is you've got a pile of that light up. You can't get it anyway. It's frozen solid. You can't use it. It's not usable.
So why do we have this bid?
Because in the summertime, if we do have a larger hole that appears, then in the past, we have gone and got a truckload of cold mix just to put in. To be honest with you, in more recent years, we've been using more and more of the hot mix to do those patches when we can. We just bought that mill so we can do better patching.
So if you drove down there and got a load at your discretion, would they charge you more than $120?
I don't know that. I can't tell you. I don't know.
Because we wouldn't have to bid it if it's under that. Oh,
But we already did.
Yeah, we did. So there it is. I mean, it's the only bid we got. And again, we probably won't buy any, but I guess if we have to, there it is at 120.
You never know.
Move to follow the highway superintendent's recommendation. For the loan there.
Didn't Eric already do
Oh,
that?
I'm sorry.
Are you the second, Randy?
Yeah, I'm the
You were.
second.
You were.
You are.
You're out of the game.
Yeah, I'm out.
All those
Yeah,
in
I'm
favor of the
fine.
motion before us will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
I
carries.
was finding another way to not.
What is next?
Gravel.
Gravel. All right, now you got your problem with gravel.
Chairman? Yeah, Chairman.
Oh,
We received a bid in the mail, and it does not indicate on the envelope that it says in the bid documents, all bids must be sealed, be in a sealed envelope and clearly marked on the outside with the item bid. So I opened the envelope because I did not know that it was a bid, so I don't know if you want to accept that or not. So that's the question at hand, whether or not you want to authorize John to use it
well, I
as a
hate
bid.
to bump somebody out because of a mistake not labeling it on the outside. Go ahead, Bruce.
So, Mr. Chairman, so the deficiency here was it was not marked as to what it is. It looked like it was a bill. And so typically you would award all such bids, again, along the lines of convenience for the highway department. And so perhaps it's not really that big of an issue because more than likely, I can't speak for it, but you will probably award all the bids. There are more than one. But you very specifically want to weigh the irregularity on this one, on all of them. And I should add, although it was open, it was not read, and none of the information has been shared with anybody.
Is all information you wanted included inside?
We don't
Once
know.
we realized that it was a bid, it was,
I see.
We don't know.
just want to make sure before we hand it to John, if you want it to be used.
Commissioner Diver?
Well, it's not real fair to all the bidders, but since typically we accept all the bids,
It's the Hall pit as well.
That's the only pit that's up here, okay? So-
Yeah, I don't want to be unfair to local county business, you know. I'm sure it was an oversight on their part for,
Clearly, I think that they've been bidding for a number of years. The curative thing is again, historically you awarded bids for everybody that submitted, right? Everybody's a fair shake based upon their locations.
question for council.
Okay.
If we were to read all the bids and accept them all, then could we enter that one in after the fact? Just in case we didn't take all the bids? Because you're making the assumption we're gonna take all the bids.
I'm trying not to make that assumption very clearly, as a matter of fact. No, I'm not. So no, I don't think you can do that. I think you either reject it or open them. I don't think you wait and see.
Do we need a motion to accept the irregular?
When and if you approve it.
okay, John, go ahead.
All right. This is sealed bid. This is from Pete Lean. Okay. Pete Lean, 3/4 inch gravel surfacing. This is from out of Rapid City. $11.50 per ton. Loading included. From their pit in Nemo, it's $20 a ton. That would be without loading. 1 inch,
What's the loading cost?
it's included on the 1150.
On the 20?
There is no loading. That would be us loading. That would be the county loading. They don't provide a loader anymore. Okay. 1 inch gravel base, Rapid City, $11.50 per ton, loading included. At the Nemo pit, it's $20 per ton, loaded by the customer.
But they furnish the loader.
No,
They don't.
no,
We'd have to go.
we do it all.
Okay.
3/4 inch clean rock, Rapid City, $17.50 per ton, loading included. 1 inch clean rock, Rapid City, $17.50, loading included. 3/8 chips, Rapid City, Type 2A washed chips, $17.50 a ton, loading included. And that's it for PE. Okay, this is from Johnner for gravel. 1 inch base gravel. The Herm pit, $9.75 per ton with a 25-cent loading
Per ton?
per ton. Yes, sir, per ton. Evans pit, $9.75 per ton with a 25 cents per ton loading. Eaton pit, $9.75 per ton with 25 cents per ton loading. The Canyon Creek Pit, $9.80 per ton with a 25 cents per ton load.
What is it, that Canyon what?
Canyon Creek. 1-inch clean rock from Canyon Creek Pit, $14.95 per ton with 25 cents per ton load.
County, you know where the Canyon Creek Pit is?
Yeah, it's out off the Homestake Road there.
Oh, I said, okay.
Yeah, yeah. We've used it. It's
Yeah, I didn't hear that name before.
Is that out by you, Richard?
That's Edwards. So,
Oh, Edwards, okay.
yeah, on that.
South.
what's the name of that road?
Yeah, what's the name of that?
Dayton.
It's the Dayton Road. Yeah.
Off of what, Red Hill Road?
Dayton Creek.
That'll do.
Okay,
Is that all been done?
that's all from Youngers. This is gravel. This is from Simon. Okay. 3/4 inch gravel surfacing, the Hanson Pit, $8.25 per ton loaded.
They load.
Yep.
Right.
It's included. They're $8.25. 1-inch gravel base, cost pit, $10.25 per ton loaded. Centennial Quarry, $11.25 per ton loaded.
11 what?
$11.25. 1/2-inch clean rock, the Centennial Quarry, $16.25 loaded. 3/4 clean rock, Centennial Quarry, $16.25 loaded. 1-inch clean rock, cost pit, $14 loaded. Centennial Quarry is $16.25 per ton loaded. 3/8 chips, the Centennial Quarry is $17 even loaded per ton.
Is that the class 3 wash?
Yes,
What creek was that? Did you say?
that would be Centennial. And that's it for gravel, unless we're gonna do this one. Did we get the answer from Halls?
Yeah, good.
I'm starting to fight here. All right. This is the Hall Pit up on Brownsville Road. For 1-inch gravel base, it's $13.50 per ton loaded. 1-inch clean rock at the Brownsville Pit is $18 per ton loaded. And again, I'd like to recommend that we accept all those bids.
Waive
Due to
irregularities.
location.
Waive irregularities.
We had a,
Go ahead.
we had an emotion as superintendent to use the most
Advantageous.
price and desired location as well last year.
Yeah. I can't make the motion, man.
I'll move this, accept the superintendent's recommendation.
I'll second it. Further discussion? Randy?
On the Hall Pit, on the non-clean, do you have enough fines in that to get back?
On the non-clean, you know,
There's hardly any fines in that material.
they haven't had the greatest gravel over the years, but we have used it on a couple of roads that were low traffic roads. Right up there at the Inglewood Road, we did a mile of that just because it was so close. It's not cost prohibitive to haul all the way from Spearfish. So on a low volume road, we have used it and we've had good
Then you
success
mix it,
with it.
you mix it.
We mix it with what's on the road. And we've got away pretty good with that. We don't use it on, we didn't even use it on the Brownsville road where the pit was because the traffic volume was so high. But I do know they did crush a new pile, and I haven't got a sample of that or anything. It actually looked a lot better this last pile they crushed, I thought.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Section S. We do have a motion and a second to follow the highway superintendent's recommendation of accepting all the bids. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's good.
Yes. Thank you.
What do we got left?
De-icing sand. I gotta tell you, this is the one I was the most worried about. Our de-icing sand is getting harder and harder to come by. It seems like.
Just get one bid for it.
We got the one bid, okay, and this is Simon. We've asked for 5,000 tons.
Location?
It says the Centennial Quarry.
Okay.
That makes me happy because they moved their wash plant out of there. So they do have a bid bond. The per ton price is $17.50 for a total bid price of $87,500.
87,000.
87,500.
75 cents more.
John, is this the product that other governmental entities have looked to you to buy from?
That
you?
is correct. We've had a few requests from the city of Whitewood and the city of Central City. They ran out of sand and they've been wanting to get us, and they'd like to buy off of our bid. They'd like to buy from us ultimately after our material is mixed. After we add our salt and we add our chloride to this, our mag chloride, they would like to buy small quantities from us. I talked to Bruce about it here a while back. I told both cities that I wasn't willing to commit to anything until we see if we can even get the material.
And of course, it's a separate discussion. I didn't mean to interject it, but I wanted to bring it up while I remembered it. And so maybe I'll take action on that. And then,
Well, I mean, obviously it would be a higher price than what we're faced with right here because you're mixing these other components with it.
We're right at $50 a ton as our average. It's a little cheaper in Spearfish because of location. By the time we get it to Deadwood, our price has gone up because of trucking the material. But our average is right at $48 a ton is our average when we're done.
After you mix your other products.
After we put our chloride in it, mag chloride and salt.
Okay. Bruce?
and Mr. Chairman, one thing too, I know it probably isn't the product that they want because of all the additions that you put in, John. But I suppose if the county accepts this bid, then there's an accepted bid. And so much like you would accept the True North Steel bid from Beetle County, these other entities could probably get that same price. I can't give them legal advice, but they could probably.
That's my thought on it. I guess that I think the city can buy off of our bid from everything that I've seen. But it would not be with the salt or the chloride. It would just be the plain sand.
I digress. I'm sorry.
Again, I haven't committed to anything.
Do we have a motion yet?
No.
I would move to follow the highest of the recommendation, accept the bid and sign it. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So just, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, you're getting 5,000 tons.
Yep.
And you start selling some to other entities. Is that going to leave the county short? Is there any risk of leaving the county short?
Well, right now we're in good shape now. The only people we've sold to the college. For the last several years, we've always sold a mix of salt and sand to the college. Very little. I mean, these people buy 25 tons for the whole season.
To Commissioner Jennings' point, John, you and I talked about that. You're very mindful of making sure that the county isn't shorted. Is that right?
That is correct. We're not going.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Right.
Follow-up question before we get off the bids.
I got one bid left.
You do. Okay. What's it for?
This is for our concrete precast products.
So let me ask a question now.
Okay, go ahead.
So with these increases and we're already in a budget cycle, how do you make your budget work when all your products go up?
Well, I think when we did the budget for this year, we did add a percentage increase.
In the products.
Yes. And I mean, I hope we added enough.
Otherwise,
Time
you
will
just
tell.
do less.
Well, I don't want to do less, but if we have to, I mean, if we get towards the end of the year, we have to start scaling back. I mean, that's always an option.
Thank you.
This is from Rinker, which is, you know, that's the new, who bought out the concrete precast and rapid there. And this is the total of everything they have. We don't buy much from them. They did submit us a bid for each and every little thing they sell, so I would recommend that we go with their bid. And you guys can sure look at it.
So this is any concrete product you need.
This would be
Culvert,
anything.
flared end, anything.
That's right.
Because this True Steel only does corrugated.
Yeah, True North, their bid is already with here on that. That's where we get most of our culvert, all of our culvert, I should say, really. And that they just deal in steel.
And I don't know of another precast company around you.
I sure don't.
Move to follow the recommendation. I would assume.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then True North.
Do you want to do that one separate, or is that included?
Yeah, this is the True North steel bid, buying off of the Beetle County bid. And it's basically
For
for,
the steel.
yeah, the culverts, greater blades, galvanized sheet pilings, steel pilings, guardrails, steel bridge decking, and sorted bridge components and hardware off the Beetle County bid. For John's recommendation.
Yes. I would recommend.
Move to follow that recommendation.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So now, while we're on the bid subject, I would like to bring this up just as I've been talking to a few other counties and nobody does this. Everybody opens their bids. I guess we can open bids with a witness or with two witnesses at the auditor's office and then bring the results to you guys at a meeting setting instead of going through each and every bid. Is that something you guys would like to do? It could really streamline this a little bit.
Does that make sense? So you've done it for other things on a relatively, if I may, Mr. Chairman, limited basis, where instead of having the bid open at time and place, have the bid open here at a commission meeting, it could have been yesterday at 9 o'clock here in this room. And so all the folks are invited and welcome to attend, and the bids get opened, they get evaluated, and then the following day, for example, John would come here and would apprise you of all the data and make his recommendations. Is that what you're thinking, John?
That is what I'm thinking.
You've done it in the past, I think, with some you've done some RFPs for a mountain pine beetle about 10 years ago. That's one example. I think Randy's brought it up in the past a number of times as
I
well.
like the way we do it, and like they have that issue today would have been a difficult position to put you guys in, where we handled it right here today.
Well, it's up to you. If you guys, I just thought I'd bring it up.
Otherwise, we have to have another date. Do something. We got other things, but it's not too bad. That's only 310.
I like it the way we've been doing it, but that's my opinion. Randy?
I like to have it as a separate meeting. Anyone can come, the commissioners can come if they want. All you're doing is reviewing them, and then you just get a summary in front of you, and you're done. So people that are waiting here for a regular agenda don't have to wait so long.
Well, you have time to think about it, a whole year to think about it. I just thought I'd bring it up. I just know that most counties that I've been talking to, that's what they're
We don't
doing.
want to be like the other ones.
I know. Well, you're not.
I think we should also visit that when we have a bunch of bids on that big project, because then we can review them, present them to the board.
We have more time.
As, review them as being submitted properly.
Like I say, you got time to think about it. All right. We got one more thing here. I guess that's an approach permit. And this is off of the Whitewood Valley Road. Whitewood Creek LLC, Whitewood Creek Ranch LLC. The site distance is good on the location of the approach. They wanna zone out a piece of property they've been working on with the zoning board, and they wanna build a house. So I don't have a problem with their location. It's a good location for an approach. It will need a culvert, and I met with the owner, and he's good with everything. So I would recommend that we approve his approach.
Okay, ready?
So this is Abby Johnson and her husband.
That's correct.
And it's for the new plat. So if we don't approve the plat, will they still build the approach?
No, if they don't get their plat approval for a home, then they don't need the approach.
I move we follow the recommendation of the superintendent. Like the value of the approach.
Contingent on plat approval is what I would have.
That's, yeah, I would too. I would do it. Yeah, I'd second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Is that it, John?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, John and I had something for me, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, all right.
We have a situation where developer wants to put a culvert across the county road. We haven't had one of those in recent history, have we, John?
I couldn't find anywhere where we allowed anybody to do that on our.
And in their plan submittal, they showed other improvements in our right of way. It's a detention and retention facility, so they have rip wrap. They might even have some water storage in it. So John and I were kicking around the conversation about if they're going to put pipe in, we make them extend the pipe to the end of our right of way. So only the pipe is in our right of way, and none of the other improvements are in our right of way. And I used the example on the Wigan Road where Top Shelf came down, they got a culvert permit to put a whole bunch of concrete rip wrap in our right of way that we weren't even really aware of. And then there's a struggle who maintains that when it starts aging. So I think, to me, two things need to happen. Any improvements, if we allow them the right of way, they need to move if we reconstruct the highway, and they're responsible for perpetual maintenance. But I think in this case, we could have a culvert in our right of way and put the flared ends or sloped ends in the right of way, but nothing else, just a little rip wrap at the end of those culverts. So that's what John and I were talking about. So we're going to see this coming in.
Yeah, they have not resubmitted. You guys, if you remember last meeting, that we denied their permit, and I sent them a letter saying that they would have to resubmit with a boring application, and then also some different planning on this culvert to show that the road wasn't going to be narrow. And they have not at this time resubmitted. So, yeah, but I'd assume that it is going to come here pretty soon.
Yeah, and I think as we move forward, that if we set the standard now, then we can live with that standard in the future. Thank you.
Okay.
Done with this?
That's it. Thanks.
I'll go through this and get the two back. You need two of them to sign, right? The mag and the.
All of you.
You want to know?
Unless you want to make copies of it.
Well, I'll make copies. You want me to bring them back later?
Yes. But I do need all of that.
Okay, we're gonna,
It'll be back here shortly.
Okay.
due to the fact
Thank
we
you.
have people sitting here waiting, we're gonna do the preliminary plat number 4. Kimberly and Michael.
This way you guys don't have to hang out for the rest of the day. So this plat is a preliminary only. The final I actually have on my desk for next month already, so it'll match this. But what this is Lofins and the neighboring landowners, Qualms, are finally coming to an agreement because as some stuff has transpired, they found that the lot line ran through the middle of a house. The house has been there for 50 some years. So they're finally fixing the issue. And so it ended up being a little bigger because they had to redo the Quam property. And that Quam property was, that you guys might remember it. That was the one that there's the 2 trailers on right at the base of Nevada Gulch that ended up being the city of Deadwood owned the land, and it had a squatter situation where they had basically ended up getting the property from the city of Deadwood, but there was a long court case and it was long and drawn out. So this is the end of that, hopefully. It'll fix the problem. They will no longer have a lot line running through their house and shed and stuff that's been there forever. I just blew up the little insert because there's a lot going on with this property, but this is what the Lofen lot looks like now. So you can see where the old lot line ran right through the house. So yeah, this will fix a long drawn out court issue between the city of Deadwood and now the Tuam property.
Commissioner Davis.
So we're making a very small lot, a little bigger.
A little bigger.
And do they have septic and a well on this?
They do. Yep, it's all existing. It's been
So if they go to improve that, they may have to get a special permission.
correct. Yeah. Yep. This is just a preliminary. Like I said, the final you'll see next month.
So I don't see the well or the septic noted somewhere that they exist.
Probably
See it
not.
on the drawing. Is it in the narrative somewhere?
Probably not.
I don't think it's on this. Most of it. No, it's empty.
I would move to approve the preliminary with the note added that the well and septic exist.
Just exists because I don't think they have location.
Yeah, just that
So,
they exist.
Okay.
And that we know we comply. We can put it as note number 16 or something.
Okay.
Who seconded it?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, so preliminary has been approved. I believe KLJ already submitted the final. I'm pretty certain they did. I think I saw it upstairs already for next month. It's up to you guys, I guess, if you want to be there or not. I don't think you necessarily have to for the final because it will, as long as it comes in and matches this exactly, which I think it will. And then I'll get a hold of KLJ and just probably have them add that note to the plat. Okay, so that's it. Okay, thanks guys.
Let's go back to the layout plan, Bourbon Valley.
All right, so this one, I'm gonna try to zoom in on it for you. All right, so this one is kind of an interesting one. So this is Rocky Johnson Road, which is Highway 385, and then like you're going back to Robe Lake, you know, all the way, it's quite a ways back in there. Rocky Johnson Road takes a right off of that, the entrance, I guess the Robe Lake Road, I would call it. I don't know what the actual name is, but it's the Robe Lake Road. Way back in there.
It goes all the way through.
Yeah, it does. And this is a HES that's in there, trying to create 6 lots. There's already a house down in this corner here, which will be on the new lot 1, I guess I would call it. And then you've got, they're trying to propose 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 5 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, 7 acres, and 9 acres. I think the only thing planning and zoning really talked about, you know, meets it, but the access to this lot 5 and lot 6 is kind of weird. So I believe they were going to work on that a little bit because I had concern, you know, Rocky Johnson Road is on there, but from what I can tell just off this layout plan, lot 6 doesn't actually, no corner of it touches the road, so they would need some sort of easement or something across lot 5 possibly. But this was a layout plan and they weren't quite done with exactly what they were going to do, you know, yet, so there's no preliminary plat. They have to submit a fire plan and all of that stuff yet too, as part of that preliminary plat. So I don't know, Rocky Johnson Road does go all the way through.
Mr. Sleep.
There's a house on that, lot 6.
Lot 1, there's a house.
There's a house there and we looked at that just some time ago for county maintenance there and those people just live there for some.
So that's probably why they have that center line trail. There must be a trail that goes back to that house maybe. Yeah.
What
Commissioner
about,
David?
Go ahead.
what about this little, little wedge that's over in the Forest Service there? or
Yep, that's part of lot 4.
Across the road?
That's part of lot 4. They own it. That's part of the HES. It goes on both sides of the road. And I think, I know John was looking at this to determine if Rocky Johnson Road was on our road system. I couldn't find it, but he was gonna double check just to make sure, because I couldn't find, like, on the map.
I think it does, and it goes all the way through the 385.
But I don't know if it's on our road system.
I
So,
thought it was, but
okay,
I'm not
so
positive.
he was gonna double check that just to make sure if it is like a secondary road or what it's considered.
The Forest Service has some of that, and county had to fix a cattle guarder too that went in there across that road because the Forest Service. I don't remember all of
Is it like one of those joint
them. Yeah,
Forest Service County Road things
I
that they
think so.
have? That could be.
Okay, Commissioner David.
Well, apparently track A was established in 94 and the Forest Service got it, so.
Got it somehow, yeah.
It's
It's kind of
interesting.
a weird,
But what's the status of Rocky Johnson? Is there an easement?
well, it's a layout plan, so we don't have any of that
Yeah.
information yet.
And-
That's some of
and-
the questions.
So the next question is on lots 1, 2, 3, do they touch the right of way? We don't know that, right?
No, not yet.
Okay, and then if it's a Forest Service road, do they have approach permits from the Forest Service?
I don't
If it's
think there's any, excuse me.
If it's a county road, then we need to dedicate right of way accordingly
Yes,
on the private side.
Yep.
Because the rest of it's Forest Service all the way around, right?
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Contribute to your wisdom.
Okay, Commissioner.
So, we're not sure about Rocky Johnson. Is Custer Crossing Road on the county system?
Yes,
Crossing
we
road, I
maintain
think it
custom.
is. I think we
We
maintain it with
maintain
a
that year
joint.
round
Okay.
And I think-
because of it's a double access between the roads. It's the only emergency that they have. So Custer and it's one from the country club to Hannah. We maintain
Hannah
those year
Road.
round.
So I have down notes and this is why we do this layout plan process so that I can, so obviously they have to determine the status of Rocky Johnson Road. If it is Forest Service involvement, they may have to do approach permits through them. And if it's county, then we have been having them dedicate right away anywhere that it touches, the private road.
Anything that they can
If
only
it's
dedicate what they
something that and that's where John will look at this and he'll determine, is it something we need to have some dedication to the county or not?
And it's your opinion that they'll clear up the access issue to 6 during this.
Well, I know that got brought up at planning and zoning. They said you'll have to do something, whether that's dedicating a separate easement to that house on 6 or what that is. And they might figure that out with the dedication, the questions on the road, where exactly, is it a 66-foot right of way? Is it a 40-foot? I don't know what it is. Is there anything, and then the fire plan got brought up. Is there any other concerns that you guys have that I can relate to them?
I'm concerned that if it's not on the county system, that we make it crystal clear that we're not going to take over this road.
And we've been doing that on most of these. I have language already that we've done on a couple of these that you've added as part of your motions when you approve them. And I know this one did go to the Forest Service. I can't think of her name.
Callie?
Callie,
Ackerman?
yes, Callie. And she's looking at it. She had some questions and concerns as well that we'll relay on to them before that they need to deal with.
And then do they have, if it's Forest Service, do they have the right of access?
I think that's kind of what she was looking into because she didn't know off the top of her head.
That's all.
I think the motion to approve it or not.
I would feel more comfortable if we had the necessary information in front of us before we make that.
You don't usually with a layout plan. So layout plans, this is why you have it, is to say, here's our concerns with it. You need to have this information with the preliminary plan. So normally we would have that before they could move forward to a
So this is
preliminary.
pre.
This is kind of a precursor so that when they come to you with the preliminary, they know kind of what your concerns are.
Okay.
So these are pretty basic ones.
Yeah, I think we could approve this with all of our concerns
Your
noted.
concerns noted. Yep.
That would be my motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved.
Okay, so.
Number 2, layout plan for Whitewood Creek Ranch.
So we'll talk about 2 and 3 at the same time, just so you have a general context. And this goes along with the road access, I think that you guys just did. This is for Johnson / Lampier. This is the Whitewood Valley Ranch. It was, so basically Lampier, Will, John, and Abby own the ranch as an LLC, and they want to keep it that way. But because they own it together, they're sister and brother, because they own it together, they want to be able to have their houses sit on separate parcels. So Will, John, we had approved a 5-acre lot with his grandpa when his grandpa was still mostly doing this 5-6 years ago now it's been. We approved a 5-acre lot. We're going to see here in a minute. And he is basically taking that 5-acre lot and changing the lot line. So that one's just a lot line change. He's going to make it a 10-acre lot, bigger lot, which is going to be his house, which is owned separately from the LLC. And then Abby would like to put her own location, which is a 5-acre lot.
Somebody joined online. Can you please turn your microphone off? Thank you.
And then this is the 10-acre lot that Abby would like to own. It did not have an existing driveway, which is why she wanted to make sure that it all kind of came in together. And then if these layout plans are approved, they're going to go ahead and move forward to the preliminary plat. We did receive a fire plan already on Lampiers, and they do have some work to be done, so they've already started that work. And they're gonna get that done before the final plat comes in. Will Johns didn't have anything to be done because he had already done it before. So that's kind of where it is. So this is what Lampiers is gonna look like, estimate of. And then this one is Will Johns. So it just basically squares it up. This is where his existing structure is already. And he's just adding this to it. So this one will be a lot line change.
Just deal with the first layout.
So.
I have a question, if I might, Mr. Chairman. Is the fire plan only for the 10 acres?
Yes. Yep, because that's all they're platting.
I would move to approve the layout plan for Lampiers.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Right, Amber. The second
Okay,
one?
so then the second one is the one that I showed you. There'll be a lot line change for Will John.
I have a question. Does he have an easement?
Yeah.
Coming in?
Yep.
On that gravel road?
Yep. I think they put that on there across when his grandpa did it.
I would move to approve layout plan subject to confirmation of the easement from the property to Whitewood Valley Road.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, then number 5, White Buffalo Properties, Amber.
right, so this one is a lot line change. You guys saw the layout plan on this one. I don't know if it was last month or the month before. It's basically taking the lots, instead of going this way, it's now gonna go this way. So it's just taking the lots and switching it. And then they put a 66-foot private access easement to the back part of the lot to make sure that it remained access. It'd be an exempt plat. It's just changing. It's started with 2 lots, it's ending with 2 lots.
Lot line is on the right.
Yes. You can say that again, I'm sorry.
Lot line is on the top of the.
Yeah, it was going this way. You can see it here, and now they just switched it going the other way.
We do need a motion to make it exempt before we go further.
Correct.
I'll make a motion we declare it exempt.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for exempt. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Now,
Make the motion we approve the preliminary and final plat.
I'll second it. Discussion, Randy?
So Hay Creek has no floodplain?
No, not in this area.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Number 6, Amber. Preliminary and final plat, Shelby and Megra. Paradise Acres.
This one is a lot line change as well. Kind of a different one. Let's see if I can get this to come up. So this one is,
You're talking about 63 and 64.
yep. So there was an old private access easement that went between lot 63 and 64. And they are opting to remove that. And in order to do that, they had to replat both lots because 33 feet on each side of the easement went to both adjacent lot owners. It sounds like, from what I can tell, that upper piece, I can't remember who owns that off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I don't have the preliminary up for me. Whoever owns that back piece they don't need the access because they have alternative access coming in the other way. Because that was the one question I know that got brought up at planning and zoning, just to make sure that if we got rid of that, yeah, Hoffs, they come in off of Cracker. Yeah, they come in this way. So they didn't need the access.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for legal counsel. Okay. Do we have the ability through a plat to vacate a private access easement? Or should that be a separate document?
I think it should be a separate document. You certainly can't do roads.
This is private.
You know, I'd have to think about that. It depends. It depends on who the beneficiary is, I think.
I'll go on from mine. The dominant party, which is, we don't have it labeled on here, is not signing the plat. So in that case, that would affect their land. So I think it should be a separate document with them. They're the most important player in this.
It probably should, you know, and to your point though, I think that you're not weighed in on that portion of it necessarily, the legality of that. I would argue that clearly they should know that it's going to happen. But I don't think you're trying to vacate that intentionally right there.
It says vacated this plat.
Well, yeah, but that isn't for you necessarily to defend. Because I don't know that access is important to you. I don't know what your considerations are in this particular plat.
Well, what I would recommend is they just put a line through vacated this plat. They can show it on here and then they can vacate it by miscellaneous document.
That would be
We're
better.
not at the table.
I think that would be better.
They can do that anytime when all 3 parties agree on it.
I think that's better.
Okay. Are we just doing the final today?
You're doing the preliminary and the final.
Well, my motion would be approved both with striking the line vacated this plat. And they can do that with follow-up miscellaneous document.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Let's agree.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I'm curious because this
Let's see.
private access easement that they have on there is actually the original plat. That's what they're referencing.
Good to see you.
They never had a document
I
showing
understand.
it.
We don't
So
want to dog in that fight. The three of them can get together and they can vacate that.
So this access.
just as a separate
Yeah.
document.
land lease from, and they're vacating access that we may use that.
Yeah, that's why I wanted the third party at the
Hawk,
table.
I
Hawk
think you're
supposedly
right,
agreed
Travis.
to it,
Need to
just
know.
so you know.
Well, and maybe Hoff's own the land on the other side of the road. We can't tell.
Well, it's because they don't own anything. Their access comes through this way, so they have alternative access.
Oh,
And I'm further concerned because we vacated the section line along across lot 62. So
So we have that land, all of his land leased with an option to buy, and I'm not sure that he's able to do that.
That's a legal thing that you get to deal with,
we
that
did
I'm not gonna
we
get
did not
involved in
address
that.
it. We don't have a dog in that fight.
Yeah,
Where's this at, Jerry?
this is on the backside of
It's
Beetle.
up in Maitland Partners subdivision there, and that little access there is, it's really fire access for that whole bowl too. There's really no other way down in there from the top. If there's a fire at the bottom, there's no way to get in there.
That's why I didn't want to have us vacate. We don't know who that owner is, what their rights are.
how many more plats?
I got two more.
More, and then we're, okay.
Yep, it looks like it. Shouldn't be too long.
9:30, it can be any time, but scheduled for input from the public.
It'll be after they get
Oh,
done.
sure, no,
Yep.
hurry. I'm here.
Yep,
It'll
as
be,
soon as they're done.
it'll be a little bit later, I
But
think.
no problem. Okay,
Not too much though.
It shouldn't be too bad.
No.
I'm fine.
Well, because it's 9:30 now, so yeah, it'll be closer probably to 10.
Oh, good. Thank you.
So Bruce, in this scenario,
But I guess
I don't know how the plat can be approved without that because it changes the lot line.
I wasn't understand.
So if they don't vacate this, they're changing the lot line. So this is the existing lot line is over here.
Yes.
So if they don't approve the vacation, how can they approve the lot line?
Travis, what the hell do you want?
Well, I don't know that the easement matters in terms of the lot line. The easement is the easement.
So it's okay, you think it's fine to, because I'm gonna record this plat. They approved the plat.
Yeah, the easement is, the lot line change doesn't affect the easement necessarily, right? The easement is located there. I mean, was it done probably with anticipating that particular lot line location? But I don't know that the lot line changes the easement necessarily. I think.
Okay.
No, not, but I did see a press release about him relocating to the office of the Attorney General.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I've not heard anything.
We're down to the Peterson property as soon as Brenda gets back.
Yep.
Legals here.
You know, I don't know if I've ever seen any case law on whether a plat can extend into an easement. I mean, I think it can under certain circumstances, but not necessarily, right? It's an interesting question.
Well, I think if it's serving totally within the subdivision, that's one thing. This goes through, so I think that's better. It's a thoroughfare.
There's clearly an attempt to do that now. Would that be legally effective if I, didn't get notice of it? Like, hey, you took away, probably not.
Yeah, I just don't want us getting that turmoil.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
The next one is, this is an interesting one. So originally, this was 3 lots. It was 13, 14, and 15 of 2-bit ranch estates. The gentleman that owned those, I think at the time, didn't want to have 3 road district fees. So he combined them into I don't remember what it was. He combined all, 15A, I think is what it was called. Then he combined them. Well, now he's decided, no, wait, maybe I do want those. So now he's coming back and he's asking them to be redone in different configuration around his house that he built. So now we're gonna have lots A, B, and C. So it started with 3, went to 1, now he's asking to go back to 3. Each of the lots meet the requirements. Two-Bit Ranch, as the road district, will have to sign the plat to determine if they're, so that they can reassess. I'm assuming they'll have to change their road district stuff to get the assessment. And then his house sits on lot B. They all 3 have access to the original Elkview Loop, which is kind of what they had before, I guess.
Are these lines in the same spot that they were when?
Nope. Not even close.
Commissioner Diver.
On the preliminary plat, do we have some surety that the structure is meeting the setback?
Nope.
So there's no dimensions on here showing it meets the.
We don't usually ask for it.
Mr. Chairman, for clarity, planning and zoning approved this. We did.
Yes, they did.
I'll move the preliminary final plan.
Okay, I'll second it. Further discussion?
Is there a well on this one?
No, this is a shared, they have a shared system here. So that all they showed was just the septic system in this scenario.
Further,
Do we make sure that that lot line doesn't interfere with the setbacks?
That's your guys' call. That would be a survey of the house, which we don't normally require, but that's your call. They can do it. I think the motion and second would have to be changed if
Do we have a
that's
second?
what you see.
I
Yeah, he
seconded
seconded
it
for discussion.
I would make a substitute motion to approve both based on confirmation that the house falls outside the setbacks.
I would second that.
Looks like we got washed under the bridge, Richard.
Yeah. That's okay.
All right, any further discussion on the motion before us?
Confirmation of structure setback, right?
And that's for both preliminary plans.
Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion before us will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Bruce, are you handling this next one?
Yeah, Jeff Ryan's gonna be joining us here shortly too, so we're just on the phone.
Board
And so
discussion and action on title and mineral interest.
I can get started. Dwight DeBrood, who's an attorney in Belfouche, is here. I'll take it along with Jerry Aberley on behalf of ETRC LLC.
Okay, Dwight, we'll let you explain why you're being this up.
I've got handouts for you.
And I should add for the record that Dwight, I did give the commissioners copies of, I think, your cover letter
Okay.
dated February 28th, 2023, and all the, I think most of the attachments there too. So they have some background in the court.
Yeah, okay. Well, welcome to the Byzantine world of mineral title. So to help you, help explain this, that the dark copy one, this plat, is a plat of Mineral Survey 1677. And if you look, Mineral Survey 1677 has 6 different lode claims within it. We've got the Monte Cristo number 3, Monte Cristo number 1, Gold Hill number 1, Gold Hill number 2, Wildcat, Empire, and Empire. Those are the 6 lode claims. In 1950, Monte Cristo number 1, Monte Cristo number 1, and Empire were conveyed by a decree of distribution to Carrie Ton Snedeker and Alice T. Smith. They were the surviving wife and daughter of William Ton, I believe.
Is this the property that used to be the old toboggan run? in that.
I
in
have
that
the
area?
foggiest idea. I'm just looking at
You know,
minerals.
Terry,
I think it's on the other side of the road.
other side?
Yeah, that's minerals only.
Yep, we're only talking about minerals, no surface.
Right.
I think you misspoke. You said Monte Cristo 1 twice. It's Monte Cristo 1, 3 in Empire.
Yes, I'm sorry, I must have misspoke. Thank you. So, Carrie Ton Snedeker and Alice T. Snedeker owned it. And in 1951, Lawrence County issued this tax deed. And if you look at this tax deed, the issue is the legal description. I've highlighted this for you. It says Mineral Survey 1677, consisting of Monte Cristo number 1 and 3, Gold Hill numbers 1 and 2, and Wildcat lodes. And then it talks about the mining district and the township and range. And then at the end, it says this excludes any interest to Carrie L. Snedeker. So the problem that we've got is at the time this tax deed was issued, Monte Cristo number 1 and 3 were owned by Carrie Ton Snedeker and Alice Smith. The Gold Hill numbers 1 and 2 and Wildcat lodes, I don't know who the record owner was. We're not looking at those. We're just dealing with Monte Cristo number 1 and 3 and Empire. And the issues with this are a few. One, Snedeker and Smith owned Monte Cristo number 1 and number 3. Someone else owned Gold Hills number 1 and 2 and the Wildcat claims. The treasurer records show that the taxes have been paid current by Carrie Snedeker at the time for Gold Hills 1 and, or not, excuse me, Monte Cristo number 1 and 3 in Empire. And they paid their taxes current throughout this. And you can see the reference, this excludes any interest to Carrie L. Snedeker, which seems to indicate that the county didn't intend to take tax title to what she owned, which would have been correct from what we can see.
Which would have been 1 and 3.
Yes. And after this tax deed, Carrie Snedeker and Alice Smith deeded their property onto other owners. All the way to present day, we have clear title. Monte Cristo number 1 and number 3 have eventually been subdivided and have 9 different lots with surface owners, and some of those lots have houses on them. And I, on behalf of DTRC, have been researching title to make sure that we're getting clear title to this land, and we've discovered this tax deed with this question of, did the county take Monte Cristo number 1 and number 3? And I don't know why the title companies have been willing to insure over this for those who bought it and developed.
Warranty deeds have apparently been issued accordingly. Yeah.
But there's a question on the mineral title. Does Lawrence County own any interest in the minerals? And in my opinion, it doesn't. And we originally thought about approaching the county about getting just a quitclaim deed to just remove any interest, but the county isn't able to just freely give a quitclaim deed because you've got surplus property and public bidding and all that, even though I don't believe you own an interest. So what we are proposing to do is start what's called a quiet title action in circuit court. And we're going to ask the court to review this and determine, number 1, that the tax deed that was issued in 1941 is invalid as to Monte Cristo number 1 and number 3. And we're only talking minerals. We do not intend to serve the surface owners because we are not any part of the surface. We just want to make sure that we've got clear title to the minerals. And because we don't think Lawrence County actually intended to take an interest in Monte Cristo number 1 and number 3, and we don't think that the county owns an interest, and the county has never conveyed any interest in Monte Cristo number 1 and 3 after this tax deed. We're just trying to clear title, but we're going to have to name Lawrence County as a defendant to it, to the action. We are not asking the county to do anything. In fact, we're just fine if you don't do anything, because we'll ask
Just
the
come
court
along
to issue it. Well, we have to serve you because you have an interest of record, arguably. And you can see the arguments is you could, but I don't think you do.
Dwight has been kind enough, Chairman, to come here, and he's better at explaining it than I think certainly I could. So that's his reason for being here today.
It's a process that you have to do to clear it up.
Yep.
Commissioner Diver.
So to our legal counsel, quiet title for a public entity is no different than quiet title for a private entity, correct?
I think that's correct, yes.
As I recall. Would you?
Yeah. I don't know of any difference.
Yeah.
Did Deb have anything to add to this?
I concur with what they come up with, because
Okay.
to me, I think when the treasurer back in there, I think they just did it the simple way and said, this excludes any property carried. If they were doing all the other stuff, but not her stuff, they just didn't make it a long list of, they just did it the short way.
Okay, Bruce?
And I think to the way, and I think Deb would agree too, to their points, is it's not clear that the county should have taken a tax deed at the time. The evidence, it's difficult to make that case, right?
Yeah.
And so I would agree with that. And I don't know what your prerogative is going to be, but I would say this, that you can go to executive session if you want to too, but it's difficult I think, for the county to make a case in regard to this. And so if you go along with that, what would probably happen is I won't answer and we'll end up getting a default judgment against us along with everybody else who probably won't respond as well.
I think another complication thing for the county commissioners to consider is if the county would like to take a position that in fact it does own an interest in Monte Cristo number 1 and number 3,
I don't see that.
we likely would need to start to include the surface owners who own houses on those lots, and I think they're going to be quite interested in the county's position.
Yeah. Commissioner Diver?
So if you're successful, the court action will be recorded. No quitclaim deed will be required.
Correct. It'll be a recorded judgment quieting title to the mineral interest only. There is another mining company that has an interest in the net smelter returns for this property, and there's actually a lot within this mineral survey has been subdivided, and there's one lot that is owned by a defunct corporation that we're going to have to, they'll be the owners of the minerals in that particular lot. Yes.
I don't see a need for any executive session to the rest of you. I think we just proceed along.
Thank you for your time to wait.
Thank you.
Yes.
And thank
you very much.
I don't know if Deb had anything to say.
This never showed up on any of those lists that Nicole and those guys have found.
Yeah, we have no knowledge of it yet.
No.
Thank you. If you have anything else to wait, please let me know.
All right, thank you very much.
And that cleans up our agenda. We'll go to items from the public.
Sure.
Do we have someone from the public that would like to address us? Okay. Right, you have the floor.
Thank
you. Appreciate the opportunity to appear here. Very often, individuals, citizens come to the county looking for a handout. I actually come here with money and requesting permission. So I've got a check for $25,000. And my request is that I get the opportunity to make the case for abandoning our project on the hill. You're the executive committee for Lawrence Kanawha County, the executive branch. Facts, I think, have changed in that thing, in that time frame. One of the provisions that I would ask is in cooperation with the county to get accurate information. In getting that accurate information and weighing the trade-offs of abandoning that or proceeding with it, we'll weigh it. I might even change my mind, because the three justifications that were given to me, an expanding population, I think is false. That there's a federal standard that we would be failing to meet and consequently would have to build a jail, and that we need a new magistrate court that currently sits 40% vacant. I don't know. I mean, I've been just haunted by this. Part of this, I pay a lot of taxes. This would neutralize the charge that I'm somehow doing it to be cheaper. And, I think it's just a terrible decision that will haunt your descendants, my descendants, our friends and neighbors in the future. And all I'm asking is for the opportunity to make that change. And I'm giving you 20 to go cash the check. That's all you have to do. So, I mean, it's a way to get it off my back. I think I have information that you don't have currently. Yes, sir.
Well, we studied on this for
I
a
know,
couple of years.
I know.
We're sorry to come to that conclusion, that we voted one way and another way, and different ones of us as you went on. We also held meetings for the public to come and attend
Sure.
and say their concerns on that in many different areas of the county. And that's so when we decided to do this, it was a majority that decided that. So we proceeded in that way, and you had a lot of opportunity to object to it over
Well,
a couple of years or so.
well, if you recall, actually, before we met the bid, I asked for the opportunity to present the information. And in effect, it was a gradual process in terms of the accumulation of information that I have. If the justification given to me, and I think given to the public, is false, and I believe it is, then, information changes, you change your mind. Or at least I've made mistakes who haven't gone way, made investments. But at a certain point, if the information changes, I think I should change my mind. And you will still have that executive authority to say, oh, he's all wet, he's wrong, he's a crackpot. But you'll get paid, on behalf of the citizens to listen to the case. I have not made the case to you, Richard. I haven't made the case to any of you. I didn't start out, I gradually, the more I was told, get the study. I think I could make a credible case that in effect the study that we paid $10,000 for it would meet the definition of fraud. Whether legally it would meet that, but clearly there's false information in there. Just objectively there's no question that you relied on that study in terms of making the decision.
Well,
So
we've from my first 12 years I sat on this board, we had this issue before us of our failing facility over here. And like Commissioner Sleep said, there's been a tremendous amount of research and time spent on this to where we were comfortable to go on with the project. And I think we're entirely too far into the project to abandon it. We've expended a lot of time and effort and borrowed the money, which is in our hands. It would be impossible, I think, at this point to just abandon it.
well,
Go ahead.
fair enough. If the information you were basing your decision on is in effect accurate, then that would validate it. But quite frankly, more information has come. That location in terms of the one-way road in, you've driven that, I hope during this winter. I don't see how you fix that. If you wanted to bottleneck your law enforcement, create additional safety hazards, that location would be hard to beat. And all I'm saying is, I have not made the case. See, honestly, I requested that opportunity, and at the time, the same justification, in effect, we've already looked at it. But if the basis, Randy's been kind of the lead one on that, but if the three justifications that he gave me, I believe are false. I literally just an objective person would look at and say it's false. Then, and again, what's your downside? I'm looking for an hour of your time to hear the case and say, yeah, and the trade-off, I think a fraction of that $40+ million has been spent. If we did abandon that's much of the investment that's been made up there would be beneficial for a hotel or an apartment complex or housing. I think real estate's my background. I've been successful in it. There's a saying, three things count in real estate: location, location, location. That location fails, in my opinion, for three bases. But I don't want to get in the weeds. I want to get.
Well, we felt the location was perfect for us.
Well, I'm giving you $25,000 on behalf of this.
I would not be willing to accept that in any way, shape, or form. Commissioner Diver?
Well, I don't know what the $25,000 for, but if you look at the covenants on the property, it doesn't allow a hotel, it doesn't allow overnight stays.
Apartment building?
Nothing like that. No casino. The covenants, we had to change the covenants to get overnight stay for the prisoners. So if you're in real estate, that research on that title commitment might be important.
Well, then in effect, that's information that I would get and sort it out. I'm just, in terms of discharging that obligation, it was a 3-2 vote when you proceeded.
So what's $25,000 for?
For you to give me the opportunity to make the case to abandon that project.
So as a member of the public, don't you have that opportunity?
No, what you said the last time I appeared is you wouldn't listen. I'm just saying, and the other thing that would commit is on the behalf of county employees, because there'll be some time to get that information, get accurate information.
We have already spent like 40 or 60 hours of our employee time.
Well, I know.
So, Mr. Chairman, can't you just put this on the agenda as an item if you choose to do this?
Sure. And give you
You
the
don't need
opportunity to present your
$25,000.
case.
Okay.
I mean,
And for cooperation of the employees to get accurate. I mean, if I will track that down, that there's no opportunity, there's a covenant that could not be used for apartment building or motels.
I don't know that it could be used for apartments. I think the hotels and related, anything that would compete with the business across the street, generally speaking. May I, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Rand, so one of your issues is the purchase of the property. And so I think the commissioners all toured the property, they were familiar with the property, but you disagree with them in terms of the road and stuff, is that right?
Well,
and so
the property was acquired by the time I started to engage on the issue.
So what issue do you have with that?
Okay, if you drive the property, it's a one-way road in a narrow graded road. If someone slips off the road, there's blizzards, there's snow.
So Rand, to that point, so that's a separate issue. So isn't it true that the commissioners, they went up there and they saw it, they knew that, you disagree with that decision, but what wrong, and you're entitled to your disagreement,
right.
But are you saying that was somehow, is there fraud or misrepresentation involved in that?
No.
So why would we talk about that?
Well, because quite frankly, in the subsequent time frame, at least my observations up there is that's extremely difficult to keep open. On a 24-hour basis, that's got to be kept open.
Isn't that our problem though?
Well, it's ours as a citizen's problem, but that's part of the trade-off, quite frankly, of continuing with that project versus the alternative. And what I would hope to do is to make the case that based upon, I mean, that was, well, the first justification was when we had an expanding inmate population. What I think I've discovered is that is just objectively false. It has on record the lowest in the history of Lawrence County as we recorded that. So if that is indeed false information, and you would have never known that from the executive summary by the study, that's pretty dang relevant. The second is the issue that we've discussed, that there is a federal standard, which I don't believe there is. And if you apply that federal standard to this jail, it would fail. I think that is false too. And the third justification given to me was that the magistrate court, we need a new magistrate court. That magistrate court sits vacant 40% of the time. I mean, on what basis would you justify, this $50 million expenditure if we have a declining inmate population, if the federal jail standard doesn't exist? And again, I didn't come here prepared to make that case in a fully articulated manner, but instead, I want the opportunity because it haunts me. I don't like to make decisions. One of the reasons I'm offering to give you that $25,000 is to say, I'm not trying to save me money. If it's a good investment, I'm all in favor of it. But right now, I'm haunted by the fact that we're spending taxpayers' money that I can't justify, and in fact can make a really strong case for rejecting.
Okay, I want to go back to the road. When we were building the specifications and the specs and everything to go forward to bid, there was several $100,000 in there to redo the road. And we took that out because we have the ability and the equipment. We know the road's narrow. We have the ability and the equipment and the people. We can widen that out ourselves and make it a 2-lane in and out and take care of our needs as far as that. And it's a very short distance. And it's keeping this facility in the city limits here of Deadwood. The magistrate courtroom is to benefit us not hauling prisoners up and down the hill to this courthouse. That was the intention of that courtroom, which the judges frankly thought it was fantastic. What was one of your other issues there?
I'll jump in on the road for just a second. If you look at the original design of the Dunbar, the traffic counts in the parking lot they had was a lot more traffic than we'd ever anticipated. It was approved by the city. So if you have issues with the road, I would look at that set of plans.
It's going to be a resort with a concert.
If you look at the design criteria on that, that road was approved for that design criteria. Secondly, I think our agenda says a 3-minute unless discretion of the chair. So I would suggest that if Mr. Williams wants to give us a written brief, we could review that, put him on an agenda another time.
Okay, that sounds
And
good.
cooperation of the county employees to get information.
Well, I think
You've had that.
they've been doing that, but I don't want to tie up. But these two individuals right here, yeah, we're all public servants, but you can't tie up their entire time. They're both very busy, got a lot on their plate.
There's one outstanding question that I posed, and it's pretty substantial. If there's a federal standard, we have it written, I can pull that form, that if this jail was as it exists, was applied to that federal standard, it would fail. I don't believe there is a federal standard. Is that correct?
I have to be very careful. I'm not an expert on this, but I believe that there is a standard that we would expect that would be applied if there was an issue. Now, I listened to the current lady who is the warden of the prisons, of the men's and women's prison in South Dakota. It's escaping me, right? And so they're talking about building a new men's prison in Sioux Falls and a women's prison, I think, in Rapid City. If you listen to her testimony, she references this ACA standard, I think it is. And I think she says that something along the lines of, again, I'm paraphrasing, don't hold me to this, that it's not necessarily an applicable standard, but it's a standard that you would expect to apply in terms of inmate spacing that's involved and all these other things. And she would say that the prisons that they have now, including the women's prison, which is a much newer facility than ours, do not meet the standards, at least in that regard, and I think several other regards. And so this standard that you've heard discussed is something that the Secretary of Corrections, that's what I was trying to say, has also referenced this standard as being applicable in some fashion. And it's very interesting to me. And she also talked about substandard elevators and how you would not want to, for example, transport felons in small elevators. We do that on a daily basis in our elevator. And so I don't want to litigate all the issues, but I'm just telling you, Rand, that you should go listen to this and listen to the justification why they're building these mega $1 million projects. And it was eerily similar, if not almost exact to what I've heard the justification for this facility.
It's the American Correctional Association. I believe that's a nonprofit, but I think it's funded primarily by what could be called the ones who would be the beneficiary if by applying that standard to existing facilities, that would then fail and then justify the expenditure of public dollars. So the notion that that is objective standard, anyway. I'm considerate of your time.
I would point out too that each commissioner has their own individual reasons for why they approved the facility. There's a mix. They weight different things and maybe use some criteria that others didn't. And so if you focus on that, you presuppose, I think, that this ACA standard. Well, but no, let me finish. That it sounds to me like you're presupposing that was the main reason why they decided. But it may have been the reason why some did, and some of them may weighted that accordingly. But I think, aren't you fixating on that?
No. The first, if I'm fixated on anything, would be on the first justification,
Which is what?
which is an expanding inmate jail population. And if indeed, factually, that is not expanding, but contracting dramatically, then that, I mean, you normally don't triple the size of your jail if it's a contracting population. But that was clearly the justification given to me. We have this expanding jail population.
We're running at capacity right now according to our sheriff.
Then I can get, then one, I would like to get that information. If I can get that information, then delightful.
Go ahead, Bruce.
One final point. So Rand, I think it's true, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the underlying data, the jail population data that was used and incorporated into the study, I think you referenced from Elevatus, was data that our sheriff's office had meticulously accumulated over a period of time. And so that data was our data, and I have no reason at all.
No, I'm using your data. I'm using your data that it is a declining inmate jail population.
But then you can disagree. Are you saying that data is fraudulent, or you disagree with it?
The point is,
if you disagree with it now, what's the point?
When I came in here, let me just answer that question. When I came in here, that information that was declining was greeted with denial, it was COVID, or with surprise. Randall Rosen, I spent all night looking at it. And then he said, we still need a magistrate. So, that was the basis upon your information.
Okay, I'm gonna put a stop to our conversation today. And, cause this is just random public thought. If you desire, we will set a time and place for you to come and give you time to present your case. I personally have no desire in accepting that check. We will give you the opportunity to come and address us at a time and place where the general public can also attend if they so choose.
I should add, Mr. Chairman, this is the second time that Mr. Williams has been here. He was here last year as well for about 45 minutes. So that would be his third opportunity. And I should note too that I think he did have conversations with then State's Attorney Fitzgerald. And there was a letter dated September 28, 2022, where I think State's Attorney Fitzgerald said that he didn't find any merit to any of Mr. Williams' claims, or sufficient enough to launch any kind of a criminal investigation.
Okay, Commissioner Divert.
I would suggest that if we're going to take that time, that we have a written document we can refer to it so we stay on track, so we don't bounce around and have a debate. So if there's, I would call it a brief on your position, then we have something in front of us that we can follow along rather than just back and forth.
If you can design us a document, a brief.
Yep.
And then we will be more than willing to set up time for you.
And we could read the brief and then we could set up the time.
Well,
give us some time to prepare.
It's to prepare. I think, as you said, we've been studying it. The sooner the better. I will get that, in advance of you. I won't surprise you. I'm open to discussion. If I'm wrong about the jail population, that's very persuasive. I need to find that information. The other thing I was promised, I'd like to tour that jail. I was told I should. Randall said he'd take me over there.
Tour which jail?
Our current jail.
Oh.
No, I've been denied that, quite frankly. Can I? Would you ask?
Tavis, can you answer that question?
It's not my purpose for being here today.
Pardon?
That's not my purpose for being here today.
Well, I was just wondering if can a person in the general public make an appointment to tour the jail?
Typically not.
We do not give tours of our jail.
Okay.
No. I think it's ultimately up to the sheriff to decide, but as far as I know, you just can't go tour the jail.
Okay.
But you're asking, I'm offering for the time it would take.
No. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm not interested in.
Well, the point is, you're not interested in the jail.
In the.
No, okay, no, that was it. But the point is, it was the deputy sheriff working for Avantis said I should tour. Randall said I should tour. I was originally promised that I could tour it by Brian. That information changed. I would just like to see, what the safety issue concerns are. what the cast iron issue
Sure.
was. What's that?
Can I say something?
Referring to the sheriff for,
Yeah, I think we have to.
He's the elected official in
yeah,
charge.
you'll have to
Okay,
visit
okay,
with the
yeah.
sheriff.
Can I
Yeah.
say something? I was coming back from lunch the other day, ran, was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? And our maintenance guys were outside the building because the prisoners had stuffed the toilets again. And our maintenance guys were having to clean out the stuff,
Yeah, I mean,
poop and all that stuff out of coming outside the building. And if they hadn't done that, it would have been all over their offices. That's not safe, man.
Okay,
well,
well, we're
I
gonna,
mean, that's anecdotal information. That's what I would like to see. I mean, that was the justification that there was cast iron pipe that was failing that got me here, because I'm pretty knowledgeable. I deal with plumbing issues all the time.
okay, well, we're gonna stop right here.
Fair enough.
Please give us the brief and we'll go forward.
But-
And if you
Can-
want to
can- I
tour
mean,
the
just-
jail, please
Can
take
you,
that up with our sheriff.
can you just schedule me? I mean, I will get the brief in advance to you on that. I would like to get the sooner rather than later, the next time you meet.
Okay, let Bruce come back in here. He's one of our scheduler.
Talk to Brian. You went down the hall.
That's separate from, in terms of the discussion. but that
I would
is
schedule
scheduled
for
something
the
else.
28th of March, Mr. Chairman. That way the brief could be here.
No, I mean,
Okay,
I can go.
well, he made mention that that was pretty full, so.
Yeah, it is.
Proposed agenda 28 on the top.
I have lots of public hearings that day.
All right, let's, Bruce, would it be all right to schedule a time slot for Mr. Williams on April 11th?
Yeah, I don't have that agenda.
10, April? You want to go
April
April?
11th.
Well, because
Yeah.
we've
We
got
got-
a
we got a
lot
lot
of
in
meetings for March.
Chairman, we have Board of Equalization in the afternoon
Long meeting,
on April 11th. yeah.
both meetings in April. I mean, if there is a case to be made for banning that project, we certainly make that decision.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest once we have the brief, we consider whether we want to have it scheduled or not. What time we need to react to that or
Okay.
not. And we could check our schedule.
Give us your document, Rand, and then we'll set it aside.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes.
I have some pictures that maintenance gave me. These are pictures of the cast iron pipe. I think they're outside the structure by the door for the parking ramp, but I think our maintenance staff would say that they're indicative or illustrative of the cast iron inside the building as well. And so I have two pictures here that I would give to Rand as well. Again, these are outside, but that occurs inside the building as well. I've seen it myself.
Okay, well, that's what we're gonna do. Please give us your documentation and we'll go from there, sir.
Thank you.
Anything further from the public?
I will just let you guys know before I came over here, I just got a call from Wells Fargo about financing. And they are totally okay with all this banking stuff going on, that they had just had an audit and our money is secure over there because they are federally funded. So, and we're backed by the feds, so our 15 million over there is safe.
Banks are failing, BNC or whatever it was in California, Silicon Valley
Well,
Bank,
that's what I have in Wells Fargo.
another regional
Our
banks.
sweep account is a
What about our
government
local
funded
banks?
sweep account, and I had concerns, so I called, and they just
Okay.
right before, that's why I was late
All
coming
right.
for this.
I see that.
Thanks, Jeff.
That's only for 250,000 per
No, I
deposit.
No, because I'm in a government, we're in a government sweep fund,
Okay.
so that is protected.
Okay.
And Chris just called me and said that they just, literally before all this happened, Wells Fargo, because of how they do things, they had to just do a audit, and they passed the audit. That our sweep, our money in the government sweep account is all protected, so we're okay there.
Okay, thank you. Anything further from the public? From the board? Seeing nothing?
Okay.
We're adjourned.
No,
Oh,
don't adjourn, just real quick. Update from the plats.
okay.
The one related to Schulte, Pangra, and Maitland Partners. I guess I just got off the phone with Gene Pesca, and this wasn't supposed to go forward to you. He forgot to call me. So I don't
You
know.
wanna
if we-
retract
I think
our
we
motion?
probably need to retract the motion.
Was
I
that
just
my
wanted to
motion?
catch you.
Is that my motion?
This is just,
It sounds like there was some
divert sleep.
things.
I'll retract my motion.
Rescind it?
I'll rescind it.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to catch you before you went out. And then the other two, the two-bit ranch estates, it's hard to see it on here, but they did actually provide the setbacks. It's on here and the structure is fine. Just
The
so you
setbacks
know.
are showing, the structure's showing. I would suggest that you just get an email showing those dimensions.
And then the one that you made the notation about the septic systems, it is actually on that.
We found it.
It's on this one. They reprinted it for us and I didn't realize they reprinted it. So it is on there. Yep, I think
We're
that was
fair.
it. So we should be good.
Thank you.
Are you offline?